Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, I hope you guys are doing good. So I want to come on here and do a video on the whole trophy wife situation. We talked about it on my live stream. So after I got off my stream, I started watching it and just doing more research because I don't like to be blindsided by something that's serious from what the woman was saying. So I wanted to watch her full video. I wanted to get more context about who she was, her backstory. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm going to play different clips and, you know, kind of break things down. Now, let me start by saying this. You guys know I am not into relationship channels, relationship gurus. That's just not my cup of tea. I usually come on social media for, you know, celebrity drama, celebrity gossip, you know, conspiracies. That's where you'll find me, okay, at my happiest, is over there in the conspiracy world. So I'm not into the whole hypergamy channels, femininity channels. They're not really my thing, but there's nothing wrong with them, right? Because I kind of say the same thing on my channel, that there's nothing wrong with women dating up, especially black women. We're taught to just settle and, you know, just be happy that a man wants you. Whereas other races are taught, you know, to go for the best of the best, go for the upper echelon of men. So there's nothing wrong with, you know, chasing a bag, chasing a well-to-do man if you so desire. I've also ran across Shira7, the Sprinkle lady. I ran across her on TikTok and I find her funny. You know, I like a lot of her videos.
You said, what are you bringing to the table? Men are tired. I'm not bringing nothing to the table, baby. Sprinkle. If you want a woman to bring something to the table, go to IHOP. Go to the restaurant where you can tip her, baby. Sprinkle.
You know, that's her life. I don't look at other people's lives and the lives that they're living and internalize it because, again, like I've always told you guys, everything that glitters is not gold. I watch a lot of these influencers, enjoy the content, and keep it moving. It's nothing that I really try to soak in one way or another, unless it's something that's beneficial in my personal life. And I think too, I'm a little bit older. I've been married. I have kids. My kids are grown. So I'm not really in that space where I'm looking for like advice from women. But I understand why a lot of younger girls, you know, in their 20s, 30s, who don't have kids, who've never been married, you know, why they seek out these channels to get advice from, especially when, you know, so many black women are being told that they're masculine or, you know, they don't know how to carry themselves. And some women were not raised with mothers that taught them femininity and taught them how to carry themselves as women and taught them to cross their legs and dress a certain way and not be overtly sexual. Everybody's not raised in that type of household or with that type of mother. So sometimes you do have to seek that information, you know what I'm saying, where you can get it. So I definitely understand why these channels are here and why they're needed for some people. So I want to kind of throw that out there as we get into this video. So what we're going to do first is start with the young girl. Her name is Isis and her channel on YouTube is Trophy Wife. And so she's the one who came out with the video. That's the original person. That's the original channel. And so it's called I Married a Monster. And so this video has over 2 million views.
I honestly don't even really know where to start with this, just because it's just such a hard topic. And I honestly thought that by the time I got on here that I wouldn't have any tears left because I've just cried so much. It's like I built this channel and this whole brand around being this man's wife and trying to teach other women how to attract good men and provider men and all these different things. And I I truly held my husband, or saw him, as the bar for what every woman should, type of man that, or type of husband that every woman should aspire to have. And I didn't realize that the person I married was actually going to be my biggest nightmare. So basically, when I first met my husband, as I've already talked about in another video, I think it was my single mom video, I explained, a little bit about how we met. And I really thought that that man was my Prince Charming. So when I first met my husband, I thought that he was my Prince Charming. I thought that he was my knight in shining armor, and he portrayed himself to be this amazing, upright, righteous Christian man. And I believed him. I think shortly after we got married, and this is something that I haven't talked about, I started noticing like certain things changed with him. And I just started to see a few things that I didn't like, but I honestly thought that some of these were things that I could get past. 6 weeks ago, I was changing my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter. And I noticed that when I changed her, she was red and very sensitive. And immediately, my first thought was, did someone touch her? Oh God. Gosh. So I asked her, I said, baby, did somebody touch you? And she ended up saying it was Daddy. I felt like my world ended on that day. My husband wasn't home at the time when she told me, but I knew he would be coming home soon, so all I could do was just say, don't tell him that you told me. And I just instantly started trying to think of how I could get my kids out of the house, because I knew if I confronted him or asked him about it, that he would just lie, and that he would probably just continue to keep doing stuff to her, but just become more covert or more sneaky or whatever. As soon as my husband got home, he was actually picking up the boys from school, my 2 older boys from school. As soon as he got home, I told him that I was gonna go Halloween shopping with my sister because I just needed an excuse to get out of the house with all the kids. And I knew if I said something like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store, that it would be suspicious. Like, why am I bringing all the kids and like packing things, like things that we would need and things like that. So going Halloween shopping was the best thing I could think of to just hurry up and get the kids out of the house. I'm sorry, I had to get myself together. So when I got to the hospital, they basically told me that we had to go to another hospital because they didn't do physical exams, like that kind of physical exam there. So a police officer escorted the kids and I to another hospital where they were able to evaluate my daughters. It ended up coming out that he had actually been touching both of my daughters, who are only 2 and 4 years old.
Now, let me say this. I didn't know that it was 2 daughters that were being touched. I thought it was just the one that we initially watched in the live stream. So I'm going to keep playing this. She also talked about having sons. So this is extremely disturbing.
It still feels like a dream. Like, when this first happened, I just kept waking up every day and just hoping that this was a dream. Because it's literally my worst nightmare. It's my worst nightmare. I myself am a product of RAPE. That's how I came to be. And was also, abused as a child by a neighbor's husband. And I specifically prayed to God that my children would never, ever, ever have to go through this. And I'm just not quite sure how this happened, why this happened. I just don't know how he was able to get away with it and so sneaky, because with my own trauma, I watch my kids like a hawk. Like, I don't like them sitting on people's laps. None of that. And he knows how much I cannot stand men like him. And to think like I couldn't even go to sleep in my own house and know that my children are safe. Just by me going to sleep, my children were left unprotected. So I don't know what the future of this channel is going to be.
Okay, so do you guys see in the upper screen where it says, he AR'd me 4 times in the first few months of our marriage? That is extremely disturbing, and I want you guys to remember that, okay? So that was at the beginning of her video where she talked about this. So now I want to go to the video that she says that she talks about going from a single mom to a trophy wife, because there's a lot of things in that video that definitely does not sit well with me at all. So this is the video, and at this mark is where she's talking about Shara 7 and how she inspired her and kind of looked up to her. So we're going to start it from this point. So I want you guys to hear that part.
Is not sustainable and probably not something that you would want to be involved in. And after learning quickly that everything that glitters is not gold, I happened to come across Shara 7 on YouTube, and she completely changed my life. And she basically taught me what a high value man is and what to look for when trying to find a husband. So I ended up taking my sister's advice and signing up for eHarmony. Yeah, she recommended Match, but in my spirit, I felt eHarmony. I don't know why. It's just something told me to do that one. So I ended up signing up for eHarmony. I created a profile, and I think the second person that I matched with was the man that I'm married to now, my husband, my wonderful husband. And it was very different. My husband and I have a 20-year age gap, and he was not the first older man that I dated. I actually dated someone like 10 years older than me, and that was just a bust. A lot of people have told me that I'm very mature for my age, so someone 10 years older than me just wasn't a big enough age gap for me to vibe with. It just wasn't. Yeah.
So she's saying that she has a 20-year age gap with her husband. Now, again, I don't see anything wrong with age gap relationships per se, but people do need to understand that there can definitely be a power dynamic, especially if the age gap is relatively large, like 20 years, because a lot of times that man is in that relationship because he knows that that younger woman is easier to control than somebody his age. And that can also go for women who are in age gap relationships with young men. You know, there can be a power dynamic if you allow it to be. The fact that there's a 20-year age gap is already waving some red flags to me. We're going to continue.
So when I met my husband, I knew right away almost, and people say that, but it was definitely true. I know it sounds cliche. Just from our first date, it just felt natural. I felt like I just had known this person already. It was so comfortable. So we went to a really nice seafood restaurant, and it was great. It was an amazing first date, and mind you, I think we both were kind of just dating different people at the time, and that's definitely something that I recommend if you're looking to, you know, find a husband, is not just dating one person at a time. It's not good to put all your eggs in one basket, but we had a great first date, and I think he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend on the first date, and I said I would think about it. I know.
Another red flag to me. You guys are meeting each other for the first time. I'm sure they had prior conversations, but this is the first date and he's already asking you to be his girlfriend, that is a form of love bombing. That quick, he's already trying to reel her in, and she's already somewhat feeling the situation because he's older, he seems more secure financially. You know, most normal dates, you're getting to know each other. You're not thinking about that person being your boyfriend or girlfriend. So the fact that he's trying to move this quickly says a lot.
That the universe guru talks about how you shouldn't fall into the girlfriend trap, and it was kind of something that I just intuitively knew, like, I'm not just gonna agree to be your girlfriend just after meeting you, because I know that it's, you just want me to be your girlfriend so that you can get in my pants. So I didn't agree, and we both were, you know, we were talking, but then for some reason we kind of stopped talking for a little while. And we both were dating other people and doing our own thing. And then I had gotten into a serious relationship with somebody, and I ended up falling for the girlfriend trap. But that guy had really been investing a lot into me and doing a lot for me, so I kind of felt like I had to agree to be his girlfriend because he asked me multiple times, and I finally agreed. So after me and him broke up, well, let me rewind. So me and him ended up breaking up because he just didn't really vibe with my oldest son, who was 5 at the time. I could tell that he was really just putting up with my kids. He didn't really embrace them.
So if you haven't watched this full video, she's a single mother of 2 boys at this time. The oldest is only 5 years old, and I think the other little boy is probably 3. And so she's saying that this first guy was taking care of her, you know, was investing into her, but wasn't really feeling her kids. So we're going to continue.
Sometimes, you know, we as mothers can tell like someone's just being nice to our kids for the purpose of being with you, and they're not necessarily invested in your kids themselves. And that's what I felt like from him. So it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel like a family, the kind of family that I was wanting. So I ended up breaking up with him, and we were living together. I know, we were living together, and I just like packed all my stuff and left. And it was crazy because the next day my husband, my now husband, reached out to me and was like, hey, how are you doing? And I told him, you know, I just got out of a relationship, and I kind of told him a little bit about why. And he was telling me like, oh, you know, those are my boys. And he had genuinely really connected with my kids, and he was not the kind of man that was just being nice to them to get to me. Like, it was very genuine. And that was one of the things.
All right, hold up. I'm confused. So at what point in time did this man meet your children? Because you went from a first date, he's already trying to make you his girlfriend, but you're dating and seeing other people. But this guy that you're dating who is investing in you, you decide to make him your man, and then you move in with this guy with your kids. This sounds to me like this is within the span of a few months. So you're already moving your children from your home in with this guy that you feel doesn't really like your children. So then you move your children out of that home, but then your children also know this whole other man. My question is, why are either one of these men meeting your children so soon? And why are your children being bounced from one man's home into another man's home? This doesn't make any sense to me.
That I really loved about him, that was something that stood out about him versus the other men that I had dated, was he really embraced the fact that I had children because he wanted children. And so, you know, he was talking, my lease was going to be ending very soon, which is why I went ahead and moved in with my person that had became my ex. We started living together, and I told my husband, I was like, hey, it was so embarrassing to admit, but I was like, I need a place to stay because my lease is ending and I just broke up with my boyfriend, and maybe even if it's just like for a couple weeks, it's okay. Just while I look for, somewhere else, because I had planned on needing to find somewhere else. And he was saying, well, if you're going to live with me, it's going to be as my wife, not as my girlfriend. And I was like, well, how spontaneous are you? And he laughed and he said, very spontaneous. So then I was like, right. So we started entertaining the idea of getting married, like immediately. And
I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. This girl is giving me hobosexual vibes. If this was a man going from pillar to post instead of getting his own, we'd be clowning him. We'd be calling him a dusty. And I've seen a few other of her videos where she loves to use the word dusty. But to me, her behavior is dusty behavior, especially being that you're a single mother and you're dragging two boys from your home to another home with the man, break up with him, and now you're about to move them in to another situation, as opposed to having your own situation and then entertaining that man for a while, getting to know him. Like, why are the children being involved in this whole situation so soon with both of these men? And this is a woman that's giving people advice on how to be a trophy wife. Let's continue.
Didn't want to get my hopes up, so I just said that, he's saying all these things, but I'm going to see what action that he takes. And so I had just got paid and I was like, okay, we seems like we're really talking about seriously entertaining the idea of getting married. So I'm going to go and get the wedding ring. We were talking about getting married like the next week, and he was out of town in Colorado, so we hadn't seen each other. This is all talk over the phone, over FaceTime. So I went and got his ring. I think I paid like $300 for it. It wasn't like a super flashy ring like the one he has now, which is completely a lot better. But I went and got his ring, and the next time we talked on FaceTime, I was like, I did something. And he was like, what did you do? I was like, I got your wedding ring. So he was like, no, you didn't.
Hold up. So she went and got him a wedding ring? The thirst. This girl is thirsty for a place to stay. She went and got a man a $300 wedding ring. This wasn't a situation where this man is running game. He's trying to chase her. He's not coming to her with the proposal. She's coming to him with the wedding ring. This is insane to me. And nobody saw any red flags in the advice that she was giving young girls who also want to be quote unquote trophy wives.
Show me. So I showed him. I said, yeah, I actually did it. I don't know if you were really being serious, but we're talking about getting married. So I had a really bad habit of like spending money, and I was like, if I don't get the ring now, then I'm not gonna get it. So I went ahead and got it, and that put the fire under him to, I guess, really go and look for my ring. Well, let me rewind. So then after that, I think it was like the next day, somebody told me to go online and check my eHarmony profile. So I went on there and I saw that he had updated his picture, and I was like, oh no, this dude is playing around. Like, I'm glad I didn't spend a whole bunch of money on this ring. Like, he was just playing. And I screenshotted it and sent him a picture, and I said, it doesn't seem like we're on the same page, so yeah, I'm done with this. And he texted me, he was like, or I think he tried to call me and I didn't answer. And he texted me and he was like, no, I'm serious. I am going to marry you, in caps. And I think that evening he like ended up going and buying my ring. Yeah, he went and bought my ring. And the ring that he got me is not the ring I had now. It was a nice ring, but it wasn't nearly as big as the rock that I'm currently sporting. But when he showed it to me, in my head, I said, it's not about the ring, it's about the marriage. And I definitely think that that's something that you ladies should keep in mind, is that if a man is going to propose to you, don't make it about the ring, because that can really turn a man off and make him think that that's all that you care about, is having a big ring, when it's more important to have the marriage. And I knew that in my heart. I was like, all right, I'm not going to say anything about the size of the ring. You know, it's still a nice ring. I'm going to take it and we're going to get married. So we ended up getting married the next week. Everybody was shocked. I randomly called my mom, my grandmother, hey, I'm getting married in a few days. We got married at the courthouse, because I told him I don't need a big wedding. I'd, rather spend that money elsewhere. And we had a really beautiful wedding reception in DC, at a really nice restaurant. It was gorgeous. So yeah, that is how I ended up getting married. But I think that also something that I want to let you guys know is that becoming his wife and really being the kind of woman that could just get a ring like that, took work. At that time, I had really become a better version of myself, a better version than the woman that was dating thugs and, living in some kind of secular lifestyle. I had to become the kind of woman that a man would want to take around his colleagues and his mother, and be the woman that's adding value to him just by standing next to him.
This is really disturbing to me. There's another video of her giving advice, so we're going to watch that as well. Because like I said, I like to research people. I'm not just going to go off of the main video that's viral. I want to know more about this woman who has this channel, who's been doling out advice to young women for the past year and a half. So there's another video that she's giving advice to women on TikTok. So we're going to watch this as well.
Let's talk about 5 reasons why he doesn't see you as wife material, and probably won't. The first reason is, and I feel like I'm going to have to say this every video because this is the main problem. You out here busting it wide open. Close your legs. Some of you ladies are out here pH balance off, smelling like tuna, for a man that hasn't even paid your cell phone bill.
See, it's the condescendingness for me. This is a woman who in that first video was talking about how she went from being a single mother of 2 to a trophy wife, but was juggling 2 dicks at the, let's keep it real. She was smashing the old man and smashing the boyfriend that she ended up breaking up with. But now she's talking about women closing their legs and their pH balance being off and smelling like tuna.
That hasn't even taken you to dinner since ever. Okay, stop sleeping with that man. The more you sleep with him, the less he wants to marry you, okay? You're selling yourself short. Next reason is you don't represent him well. A lot of y'all are out here giving Bratz doll instead of Barbie doll. You look trashy, and any man of means wants a Barbie, not a Bratz doll, okay? He wants to be able to take you around his family and his colleagues. And if you don't fit that mold, then girl, you will be reduced to a bed wench. Third reason is you don't bring him peace. A lot of women come with drama. You want to argue all the time. You want to complain all the time. You talk too much. He just can't relax in your presence because you're talking too much about so-and-so and what they did and this, that, and the other. You're not peaceful. And most men, especially if they're a hard worker, which I hope that any man that you're, wanting to be with is a hard worker, they want peace. They have enough stress at work and in their daily lives. They want the woman that they're settling down with to be that peace, to be that sense of home, to be that sense of relaxation. And so many women are not that. Fourth reason is you have a streets mindset. A lot of women want to be at the club all the time, want to be here and there all the time, and it's not cute, okay? A lot of y'all think it's cute and it's not. Men prefer homebodies. Men prefer good girls. And when I say good girl, I don't mean doormat. And the next thing is you lack basic domestic qualities. You don't take care of your responsibility. Every time he sees you, you have trash in your car. Your house, your apartment is a hot mess. It's not inviting. And men look at these things. They look at that and be like, oh, she's not going to be a good homemaker. So I'm not about to take her out the workplace because...
Okay, so I don't disagree with some of the stuff that she said in the 5 reasons. I do feel like, you know, if a man is going to take you seriously, you do have to carry yourself a certain way. You know what I'm saying? If you're carrying yourself out here like a hood rat and dressing a certain way, they're not going to have you at the family function, at the business dinner. So there is a certain way that you do have to carry yourself, especially if you're dating which I love to call a high value man. Also, being a homemaker is important. You know what I'm saying? Giving men their peace, that's also important as well. But the thing is, it also has to go both ways. You know, can he make a sandwich? Because maybe I'm tired. You know, maybe I need a break. You know, can he cook as well? You know what I'm saying? I'll do the majority of the cooking, but I would love for some days for my man to cook as well. You know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, playing different roles at different times. You know, I work hard. Sometimes I need my peace. Sometimes I don't want to sit here and hear about, you know, a bunch of nonsense and, you know, drama with your homeboy. I don't care. Sometimes as a woman, I want my peace as well. So, you know, bringing peace to the relationship is very important. But what disturbs me with this, and this is not taken away from what these baby girls have gone through, them being essayed by their biological father, is sickening. So this is not taken away from anything about that. But we have to have an open conversation about a lot of these relationship gurus, a lot of these hypergamy channels, you know, divestment channels. Like I always tell you guys, people only show you a highlight reel of their life, okay? So they show you the best parts of their life. We see her, she's dressed proper, beautiful woman, hair, makeup, everything's on point. But now we fast forward to the most recent video. And in that video, she says, he R'd me 4 times in the first few months of our marriage. She's saying that now in this video that has 2 million views that was dated November 15th. But if you go back to the original video where she's trying to give advice to single mothers, this was a year ago. Single mom to spoiled housewife in less than a year. So I'm trying to figure out how a woman who was R'd within the first few months of her marriage has the gumption and the gall to start a relationship channel teaching other young women what to look for in a high value man. If anything, that was a major red flag. This man argued within the first few months of marriage, and then you proceed to have a trophy wife channel. It's insane. But see, when you point that out, you're mean. No, I'm being real. This is crazy to me. This is why I say you have to be careful who you follow. You don't know what is going on behind the scenes. She's trying to project a life of luxury and wealth and, you know, opulence. And now we find out a year later, she was being R'd within the first few months of marriage. And this high value man is assaulting her children. This is just, the whole thing is just really sad to me. So a lot of people I've been seeing are trying to blame the Sprinkle Lady, Shara 7. And Shara has now responded to the backlash and people trying to blame her for this young woman's decision. So I'm going to go ahead and play you guys Shara's video here.
Right. But if you're sitting out there, you learned everything from me. Did you learn how to be smart? Did you learn how not to be desperate, then you didn't learn from me. You learned from whoever putting clips out on TikTok 30 seconds long. You didn't learn from me. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Did you learn from this channel or did you learn from 30-second clips on TikTok? Because I didn't put those out. You didn't learn from the YouTube channel? Did you learn over here? Did you learn what I said after 30 seconds? Did you hear what I said after sprinkle, sprinkle? Or before? Did you hear that? Did you hear when I said stop being desperate? Did you hear when I said don't be a pygmisha? Did you hear when I talked about background checks? Did you hear when I talked about all this other stuff? About not dealing with men if you have kids until they're old and grown enough to speak for themselves and be in school and whatnot. Did you not hear when I said all of that? Who's not following the real account? Don't blame me.
So y'all just heard from the Sprinkle Sprinkle lady. She said her name is Bennett and she's not in it. Don't blame her for shit. And from what she has said, she has been very clear. If you have children, you really shouldn't be out here dating until your children are old enough to talk for themselves and can let you know if something is going on. This woman ended up getting with this guy and marrying him, you know what I'm saying, in less than a few months. She didn't know him. He was already trying to make her his girlfriend within a day. It was so many red flags in that situation. And it's sad because you have people who get up here and they have these so-called advice channels to young girls and young girls eat it up. And I think the problem is everybody's looking for superficial bullshit. You have men out here looking for what they think a woman should be. A woman should be beautiful, body like a goddess, give him peace, be able to cook and clean, and then fuck in the bedroom like a freak. You know what I'm saying? And then carry herself like a woman outside of the bedroom. They have all of these expectations. And then you have women who have all these expectations that, you know, a man should be a provider and have all this money, you know, and have all this status and everything else. And everybody is talking about, when it comes from the male perspective, beauty and looks and body. When it comes from the female perspective, everything is about money and finance and taking care of me. I want to be a kept woman. I want to live a soft life. But nobody's saying anything about integrity. Nobody's saying, are these men and women, are they good? Are you guys bonded spiritually? Do you guys have a real connection? Can this person actually stimulate your intellect and not just you sexually? Because once the sex is done and over with, what else do you guys have in this relationship? It seems like a lot of people are preaching to run after superficial bullshit as opposed to really getting to know that person. And this is not me trying to belittle this woman because her story is sad. But what I'm saying is that people need to look at this entire situation as a whole and look at the mistakes that she made and the red flags that she ignored. So that way you're not destined to repeat history. Stop looking at people who are so-called high value men and thinking they don't come with any flaws because they have money. That means nothing. This is why P. Diddy is in the situation that he's in. So many people thought because he had money and fame that there could be nothing dangerous underneath the surface. And every day we're finding out more and more how corrupt and demonic this individual was. Money doesn't change you. It just basically shows who you've always been. You were always a dirty, horrible, rotten person when you were broke. And now that you have money, all it's done is exacerbate it. And I think it's really, really sad that so many women are leading with this narrative that young girls need to go chase so-called high-value men. And high value, once again, is not always tied to financial. It's a lot more to it than that. If all you're going to chase is money, then understand what comes with that. A lot of these men who have money, they know when they're being used. They know when a woman brings nothing to the table but coochie and problems. And a lot of these men use that as a recipe to abuse women. Because they know you have nothing else going for yourself besides your body and looks. A lot of these guys are secretly bitter and feel away because they know deep down inside, as beautiful as you are, as young as you are, you would not look at them twice if they did not have the money that they have. Most of these men are very basic looking, not the most handsome, but they're, smart, or they were able to, come up with a good hustle and get some money. And they know a lot of these women are only there because of what they bring to the table. And some of these men are very jaded and bitter and will sit there and abuse you and treat you like a punching bag because of their own insecurities, because they know you're not really there 100 with them. You're there because of the lifestyle. And it turns some men jaded. And you have to watch out for that when you're running behind these so-called high-value men. Because a lot of times their emotions, their mentality, the way they think, the way they treat women, there's nothing high value about it. So this entire situation is just, it's really sad. Now, from what I'm hearing, she started up a GoFundMe. That's causing a lot of controversy. A lot of people feel like, you know, why should people have to pay for her GoFundMe? You chose this lifestyle. You know, for me, I don't really care about the GoFundMe one way or another. I'm more concerned with the children. Where's the police report? Has this man been arrested? Is he going to go to jail? These children were abused and they need justice. That is my biggest concern in this whole situation. And also she needs to make sure that also those boys were not abused as well. Because that might be why he was so willing to welcome your sons in with open arms. Because sometimes these sexual deviants, they will go after young boys as well. And a lot of times young boys will keep that to themselves. They're not going to be as willing to speak out on their sexual abuse as a young girl. So you need to get your sons into counseling and make sure that nothing happened to them as well. But this entire situation to me is just, it's sad. And once again, it goes back to what I always say. Everything that glitters is not gold. And we need to stop teaching women that the only thing valuable in a man is their pocketbook. There's more to it than that. There's nothing wrong with dating up, but it shouldn't stop there. And understand that men who work hard for their money, men who have grinded and got it from the bottom, they're not going to, they'll entertain gold diggers, they'll entertain, you know, sex workers and stuff like that. But when it comes to wifing somebody, they want a woman who is also a go-getter. They want a woman on their level as well. Maybe not financially, but you have to also be bringing something to the table outside of looks and coochie. That gets old very quickly. And that's what a lot of these women are not telling you. They're just saying you just have to be young and pretty and have perky breasts and a BBL, and that's all you need. Yes, you can grab somebody's attention. You know what I'm saying? The physical is always going to grab somebody's attention. But where is that going to be 5, 6, 7 months, a year down the line? It's way deeper than that. And we have to stop trying to build relationships based on superficial nonsense, like getting a bag or somebody being a baddie. All of that is superficial. And that's why a lot of these relationships don't end up lasting. So I feel bad for this young girl. I hope she ends up getting counseling. But I hope most of all she's pressing charges and that this husband of hers, ex-husband, soon to be, goes straight to jail. Throw away the key. Because what happened to those girls is insane. And I will give her props that when her daughter told her that something was going on, that she responded in the proper manner. I will give her credit for that. Because unfortunately, you have a lot of sick women who will look the other way because they don't want their daughter or their son to fuck up their lifestyle. And they know that that husband is abusing their children. But because they want to keep up heirs, they want to live a certain lifestyle, they'll ignore it. They'll allow the abuse. They'll look the other way. Case in point, Kitty Menendez.
Their dad tortured them and their mom let it happen. And didn't run interference or stop anything.
She knew her husband was abusing those boys. But she didn't care because she was accustomed to a certain lifestyle and she wasn't going to let that go. And if that meant her sons being sexually abused, oh well. That is sick and evil and demonic. So props to this young girl, Isis, for at least taking her daughter's situation seriously and putting an end to the abuse as soon as she was made aware of it. But I just really wish that she would have looked at all the red flags before getting into this relationship. But like we always say, hindsight is 20/20. So with that being said, I leave the question up to you guys. I want to hear from you all. What do you guys think about this entire situation concerning Isis? How do you guys feel about her story, about her daughters being abused? How do you guys feel about the fact that she, turned around and created this whole, trophy wife channel, only for us to find out that her husband was R-ing her within a few months of marriage? And how do you guys feel about these channels in general? The ones that talk about, getting a high value man, being a trophy wife, and it goes on both ends. We have the Kevin Samuels, then we have the Sprinkles of the world, but they're both kind of preaching the same thing when you think about it. And unfortunately, it's a lot of young people who are desperate, who need guidance, who are going towards that narrative, who are going towards that teaching, but they need to also understand that it's deeper than that. Like the Sprinkle lady said, don't just listen to the Sprinkle. Listen to the entire message, so... Again, the entire situation is just really sad. So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I look forward to reading y'all's comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.